Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the AD Think Tank, sponsored by K12SportsTech. We're going to be right back with this week's Think Tank guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. So take the next 3 minutes, don't hit that fast forward button, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Think Tank guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank K12 Sports Tech for sponsoring these Think Tank segments. And if you're new to the podcast, K12 Sports Tech helps athletic directors and sport vendors connect through education and consulting. Athletic directors are also invited to join the K12 Sports Tech AD Think Tank that you're listening to today and help influence how companies shape their tech to better serve schools. To get started, just go to K12SportsTech.com. That's it, K12SportsTech.com. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys. At my school, we use surveys for everything, kids, coaches, parents, you name it. And the information that came back was almost always over the top positive, and it'll be the same for you. But the surveys also allowed us to connect with those squeaky wheel parents, share their concerns with us so we could address them, keep them from turning into something big. But here's the great thing. Having all of that positive feedback from that 98% is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. We want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. The team at Gipper is going to help you create world-class social media content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Maybe it's just a social media post celebrating a big win. It can be an entire newsletter that shares all the great things that your department is doing with your community. Gipper is used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com for more information. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and check out their interactive touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you will use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, and even if your state association has a mandated platform for those features, Home Campus's athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com for more information. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's at the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. It's very reasonable, just 20 months, totally online. And while he completed his master's, he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA for more information. We want to thank our good friends at Snap. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for schools to save time, raise more money, and bring community together. Learn more at hometown.com. That's hometown.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more. And we want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, they just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes, of course, love the videos, and our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Maybe. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the K12 Sports Tech AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. This segment gives us a chance to talk about the K12 Sports Tech platform, the think tank itself, and also meet some of the members. And let's go and do that right now. With us today from K12 Sports Tech is Alec Brown. He's going to share a little bit of his background and more. We also have Joe Roberts. Joe is a certified master athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics for the Princeton City Schools in Cincinnati, Ohio. Gentlemen, welcome to the AD Think Tank.
Thanks for having us,
Alec.
Jake.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. It's great to be here.
Alec, I'm going to go and start with you. Share with our listeners who might be new a little bit of your background and also kind of what K12 Sports Tech does and how the AD Think Tank came into being.
Yeah, for sure. So first off, Jake, thanks for having me. I know you've had our founder, Abby, on a couple of times, and my appearance is long overdue, so I appreciate you having me. My background is, and I'll be quick, but my background's in education. So if you've heard from Abby, our founder, we complement each other well. Her background's in tech, mine's in education. I was a teacher, an administrator in a public charter school in Chicago for about 10 years. Found my way into athletics. It wasn't my intention, but our school didn't have a sports program at all to speak of. No gym, no PE or sports. So one day I walked into my principal's office and asked if we could start one. And little did I know the work that was ahead of me from doing that. So that's how I became an AD. Built up the program after a few years to have about 13 sports and about half of our student body involved in sports, many of which were the first time. And kind of got me hooked in working in athletics and in coaching and being an AD and things like that. From there, I went on to run a nonprofit organization in Chicago called Beyond Sports Foundation for about 4 years. And their mission was to prepare high school and college athletes who are more on the elite side for life after sports. And we did a lot of academic support and workforce development training and internships and job placement with a bunch of young athletes from all over the city of Chicago. So that was a really cool experience that I did for about 4 years. And then went on to meet Abby. I actually had kind of an interesting life journey. My wife's job took us to London. So I moved away from Chicago and moved overseas to London with no intention of getting involved in any other businesses, but happened to meet Abby during the course of that move. We really hit it off. I really believed in the work that she was doing and ended up, long story short, ended up becoming a partner in the company about 1.5 years ago. So what we do, if you don't know, is we essentially are a consulting and resource hub that connects ADs to sports tech vendors. Our backgrounds help us in that work, but we've really been successful over the course of the last year. It's almost 1 year exactly to the date where we signed up our first think tank member. But the building of the AD think tank has really kind of helped this thing take off. So what the AD think tank is current and former athletic administrators from all over the country, from all different types of programs, who we kind of bring on to our consulting projects and allow them a space to give feedback on some of our vendor clients' platforms and solutions and help them identify if they solve a problem for you as an AD in your school, in your district, and sometimes in your state. I think it's been really successful across the board. I think ADs have enjoyed it because they get to see what options are out there. And they get to provide feedback to companies that really want it, that really make changes and improvements to their platforms based on what ADs are saying, the ADs in our think tank. And vendors have just found a better way to understand if their tools solve problems for ADs and specifically ADs in all different types of programs, everywhere from major public schools systems in urban areas to very small schools in small states where the AD might also be the principal of the school. It's really across the board. So great experience all around. We're like I said, we're about 1 year anniversary of our first think tank member, and we're almost to 500 think tank members now. And I know we're going to talk to Joe, who's been a big part of the think tank up until this point. So I'm excited to hear from him.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much for sharing. I knew some of your details. I didn't know all of them. Joe, let's go and hear from you. Share with our listeners a little bit, your background, your school, as I like to say. Give us your life story in 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been in this business now, Jake, for I guess I'm in year 21, should be year 24, but I got out of the industry for a little bit and got into the private sector for a while. But I'm in year 7 here, Princeton City Schools in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have a just over 5,000 total enrollment, K through 12. Our campus is a 6 through 12 campus. We navigate those athletic programs here on this campus. We have about 1,600 or so grades 9 through 12, and just over 1,200 in that 6 through 8 building. So we're dealing with on a given basis right around 1,000 student athletes. We have about 175 coaches, paid and volunteer, that we see each and every day. So we're pretty moving part. We're one of the most diverse school districts in the state of Ohio, and we really do shine with our student empowerment, and it's a great rich tradition here at Princeton. And so I love being here. I love being a part of this school. I love watching the programs and developing them and seeing which way we can take it. And we do believe in student-led and student voice, and we love listening to what our students have to say each and every day about our programs. So, there's a lot of challenges out there in this world today. And when it comes to AD Think Tank, I mean, I can remember I'm that athletic director that if you send something to me and you want to arrange a Zoom or a calendar invite, I'm that guy that accepts it. And I remember Alec probably used one of those regular blasts. Hey, learn about AD Think Tank. And I signed up for it. And my original intent for doing it is I thought it was going to be a collaborative effort of a bunch of athletic directors, meeting, whether it's quarterly or what have you, from all across the area or across the globe, and just generating different ideas and topics. Well, then I learned more about the technology end of it. And I'm not the strongest tech person out there, but getting to see we have to live in this innovative, moving, fast-paced world because our students live in that world. And so getting this opportunity to listen to different vendors from a technology standpoint and how they can help programs and just different thought processes has been really exciting for me. And I've been in a couple sessions so far with a couple different vendors, but I really like just more of the listening side of what's out there in the industry and what continues to grow. And sometimes I sit there and I think, man, we are so far behind, or maybe we're ahead of the curve, if you will. But AD Think Tank has really helped us with that process and being able to be a part of it. So it's been an exciting couple months, and we really ramped it. At least on my end, I got involved in it right before the national in Austin, and I've been back and forth on emails or some Zooms with some groups since. But I thoroughly enjoy what the concept of the group is.
Yeah, great summary. I remember I first connected with Abby. I was looking for podcast guests, and I found her profile, and I go, wow, entrepreneur,
Yeah.
all American at Notre Dame, and I go, what a great guest. And then she's telling me about K12SportsTech, so I learned about the platform, and I go, wow, connecting athletic directors with vendors. A stupidly simple idea, but nobody ever thought of it before.
No.
And then I heard about the think tank, and I was thinking, I guess, selfishly, kind of like you, that what a great way to network and meet new ADs and talk about tech, but then, taking it to the next level, talking directly with the vendors.
Yeah.
Let's go, Joe. I'm going to stay with you. Take us through, if you can. You don't have to mention names, I guess, but take us through one of your consultations, if you will, with one of the vendors. So our listeners, and again, Alec, correct me if I'm wrong, we want more EDs to sign up and be a part of the think tank so they can
Oh,
kind of see
absolutely.
what's involved.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, K12 will send an email notifying us that there is an opportunity for discussion with a vendor. And you have the choice. They'll give you a little bit of the background. It's not like they do not get a lot into the weeds of what the vendor is doing, but they will give you the surface of it so that you can engage whether or not you have the interest of learning more or not. And then you do one of those calendar invites and you get on and set up a time for a Zoom, and it builds from there. So then once you then have that direct connection, it is completely that time with you and that vendor for them to share their market product and discuss the benefits of the product or the reasons the product isn't beneficial. And so you can engage with them. It's not necessarily a 100% for for those that are listening. It's not necessarily the sales pitch. Yes, every vendor wants you to join in and be a part of their product, but they want to drive the idea for you. Okay, how could you apply this to your program, and what aspects of this program can you not apply? So they're wanting to know like what works and what doesn't work. And I think through market research, there are items in the state of Kansas that would probably, a vendor may have that really apply well to them that maybe don't apply to Florida or don't apply to us here in Ohio. And so that's the concept of it once you dive into meeting with the vendors. And then from there, you can set up secondary conversations, getting additional demonstrations. I'm actually engaging with one of the vendors right now in reference to that. I'm really interested in what they're doing with equipment technology, because I think that's gonna, that's the next wave of what's out there and what's going to come. So you can base that from where it goes. And K12 is not sitting there and saying that, hey, listen, you got to lock in and you got to take this product and run with it. They're presenting the opportunities to you. It's an outside the box new way of thinking, and I use NADC of us going through the vendor booths in the exhibit hall, right? You can get extremely overwhelmed walking through an exhibit hall, or you can be that type of person that's like, no, I know specifically what I want to go find, and I'm going to go find it. I make it a point, I try to, every NADC and our state conference, I simply try to hit all the booths and try to just simply thank them for being a part of what we do, because we need vendors and we need this industry to continue to grow. What this concept has done has streamlined that. They have a particular set of vendors that they kind of work with, or people have reached out to them to try to get into their network path. And so it's taking us away from walking an exhibit hall or only seeing them once or twice a year to now we have digital technology, electronic communication, all of that has come into play. And so it's just a new bright concept to be able to communicate to vendors.
Boy, you probably saw me scribbling down notes there. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Alec, as you have seen the think tank grow, obviously, with any endeavor, there's going to be things, wow, this is working really great. Or, we might need to tweak this a little bit. What are some things that I guess maybe you've tweaked and that you really see are the strongest features from an AD or from a vendor standpoint of the AD think tank?
Yeah, good question. So I think our strongest features in our network and the amount, not just the amount, but the forward thinkingness and the professionalism of the ADs that are involved. I mean, each and every one is interested in improving the industry and improving the profession as a whole, first and foremost. I think that's been really cool to see. And I think vendors have also enjoyed connecting and building relationships with our ADs, because I think sometimes they take for granted what they might know about the industry. And I think after engaging with our ADs for a period of time, they often realize that they didn't know maybe as much as they thought. And they are genuinely interested in improving their platforms and their solutions to make them more customer centric based on what our ADs and our think tank have said. And that's just going to improve the industry as a whole. And that's really what we're all about.
You just took my follow-up question away. I was going to ask, what's some of the feedback you've gotten from vendors? Can you share again, without giving away the name, or you can if you want to, an example of that in that conversation with an AD or with multiple ADs, because as you said, there's 500 people in the think tank, a change, a tweak that the vendor made based on the feedback from a member of the AD think tank?
Yeah, so there's been a couple. I mean, we've worked with fundraising platforms that have been brand new to the high school sports space and have started to meet with ADs and started to change the way that they accept payments, started to add features into how they allow fundraising to take place. And it's been really interesting to see that happen, because I think sometimes vendors aren't necessarily, in that mindset until they start to meet with our ADs. We also worked with a digital ticketing company that was based overseas for a couple of months, and they absolutely loved the experience with the think tank, but they realized that the high school market, they're not ready for that yet. And they need to go back and make a number of adjustments to their platform before they come back and try to make a push at solving a problem for high schools. And they weren't upset about that. They saved themselves months of time, just connecting with our think tank members for a couple of months.
Oh yeah, and I've actually been contacted through the podcast by some companies that work primarily overseas, but they're in athletics, which over there athletics means track and field, and it's just the same thing. They don't quite understand how a high school sports program, high school AD works. Joe, I've got, I don't know if it's a question or just a comment. I'm interested in your opinion. You're an AD, you're boots on the ground, you're buying uniforms, you're buying equipment, you're buying technology. And there's great programs and companies out there. You can see some of them floating above my head as sponsors. There's a lot of great companies out there, but when someone, I'm going to, put Alec on the spot here, when Alec is pitching K12 Sports Tech to an AD, they're always going to look at Alec as a salesperson. And that's why I just thought it was just such genius to create the think tank, where now they're not just talking to somebody who knows the platform forwards, backwards, and sideways, like Alec or Abby. Now they can talk to somebody like Joe. And whether it's, one of my sponsors or one of the hundreds of great programs out there, if they're talking to an AD that uses that platform, I mean, that's gold. Okay. Suddenly they're going to listen to that salesperson. Did I describe the athletic director perspective correctly?
I mean, you're pretty darn close, Jake. I mean, you really, truly are. What's every athletic director going to say when a vendor comes in to see you or calls you? What's it going to cost, right? What are you costing us? And again, I'm going to go back to what, and maybe it's because I surfaced it, right? Why did I do it? Because I thought initially, athletic director think tank. Oh, I'm going to be able to sit down and collaborate with other athletic administrators about what's happening in this industry. And that's the next step. Like, that's my next goal is, okay, so what AD in the state of Wyoming is a part of this group that I can connect to to hear, okay, why is that platform working for you versus, what it could not do for us or do for us. And so I think that's the whole concept that makes this platform beneficial, is we have an option to be able to listen to the presentation or take part in the study,
right?
Or we don't. But then there's a group of us that we actually can talk to. And if someone said, well, how did you learn about whatever that, the educational podcast? Well, okay, so I was on, K12 Tech put us in contact with that, and we were able to share out some ideas and some concepts, and that's what led us into utilizing that product. Or we chose not to because here's where we are from either a funding standpoint, or we have a product that we're using right now that's very similar to it, and we're looking to weigh the option as we go through. And that's why I always like listening to the vendor, because I want to see what's the difference. What is that? What everybody's going to have the same concept. It's just what are you doing a little bit different?
Yeah, Jake. So if I can just add that, I think Joe kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of our goals for this coming year and into the future. It's building the community up amongst think tank members. It's giving them more opportunities to network with each other and share their experiences with different tools, and just opening up more forums for them to communicate and grow and get to know each other. We've done that a little bit. We've done some quarterly meetings where we have invited the group together. We had an event at NADC that was pretty successful. We're going to continue to do that. We want to build up this network so brand new ADs can interact with people like Joe and just help the profession as a whole.
And me.
And Jake, sorry, and Jake.
No, and again, from the very get-go, I thought this was just a super idea, and it's great to see the execution has occurred so effectively in just 1 year. Joe, I'm going to start with you. If one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, even as an AD, but more about the think tank, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, obviously they can reach out. Email is probably the best way, and you can grab me. Our website is viknation.org here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and you can grab my email address off of there, or what have you. But I mean, obviously, email is probably the quickest way to communicate, because then we can connect the next steps there. And I'm happy to do so if there's someone out there. Or let's use the K12 network and kind of loop them all in on one of those invites and have us another session here on the Educational AD podcast. That'd be great. We can do it that way.
Well, we certainly have to get you scheduled for your own in-depth interview. That's going to be your next email coming from me. But thanks again for sharing
Absolutely.
today. And
Absolutely.
for our NIAAA members, Joe's information is also available through the NIAAA membership portal. Alec, if somebody's intrigued like I was, and certainly Joe, about the think tank, or they just want to find out more about K12SportsTech, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Email is definitely the best way. It's Alec, ALEC, at K12SportsTech.com. Shoot me an email. I'll respond right away. Love to connect with any ADs interested in learning more about the think tank. We absolutely want you to be a part of the team.
All right. Well, again, both of you, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. All the best moving forward in 2025. And, Alec, we'll be talking to you again on another Think Tank series. And Joe, definitely, we're going to get you on the podcast to share your story.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all. Have a great day or night, whichever one you're at.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right. For our listeners, just a reminder that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening. Come back for another segment of the AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, we wanted to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, including K12SportsTech, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, Sideline Interactive, Hometown Ticketing, Snap Raise, Home Campus, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration, Huddle, and Gipper.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the AD Think Tank.